Hey YouTube, what's going on? Welcome to another Green Dragons battle report. This is round 3 of Dragon's Den. Sorry it's been a while. Life's been super busy. Life of a grad student. So, let's jump into it. This is my round 3 opponent. Giving everybody a nice greeting. Mr. Jeremy Gottschalk. Now, I've seen Jeremy at a bunch of tournaments. Nice guy. We actually had dinner later that evening. And at the beginning of the tournament, he actually predicted we would play each other because we both marked on how we never had a chance to play. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And he brought his Warriors of Filth, is what he calls them. This was sort of his labor of love. This was a project he worked on really intensely to get it painted up nice, and I'll tell you right now, my pictures don't do it justice. He has a really nicely painted army. I love the theme, but it's back-to-back Warriors of the Dark Gods. Now, if you remember my first 2 games, my first game was going well against Mr. Joe Finlayson, and then on turn 5, everything fell apart. I ended up only getting 1 point, but then round 2, I basically canceled that out by getting a perfect 22-0. So I'm somewhere in the middle tables. This is the board. I want to say, trying to think, it's hold the center is the objective, and then the deployment, I think, might be counter thrust. No, it might be marching columns. Anyways, it doesn't really matter. This is what the board looks like. I'll try to go over his army. So that huge giant monster thing on the top left is his Vortex Beast, which, while it's very complicated, it is a really cool mechanic for the army. So I appreciated seeing it being used. In front of him, he's got a unit of Fallen. On the hill, he's got his first of 3 units of Chosen Knights, which are all the rage right now. All of his knights have halberds, and they're all marked with Pride, so they have minimized rolls for break tests. Dead center, he of course has the obligatory Exalted Herald. Behind him, he's got another unit of knights. And then more towards the center of the board is another unit of knights. And then he's got another unit of Fallen. Now behind the Fallen, that Blightfly looking thing is actually his wizard. He's got a wizard of, I think it was occultism, something like that. And his Exalted Herald had a couple shamanism spells. And he's on a Scythe Sky Wheel, so he's got like a 1-up armor save and he flies around. Now in the back are his other units. They're kind of hugging that back corner because they're just going to go through the portals that the Vortex Beast puts down. And he's got 2 units of 10 warriors, just sort of board, no upgrades, and one of them has the Dragon Egg. My side of the board, all the way on the left, holding down that flank is the Scrap Wagon. I got a couple Git launchers behind my unit of Crossbow Works, with a unit of Spider Riders in front of them. Then I've got my huge unit of Common Orcs with Spears with my General in it. They have the Dragon Egg, of course. Sorry for the blurry picture. Behind is my Great Green Idol. We got the Trolls, another unit of Spiders up front. My Nashers sitting in front of one of the portals he put out. So he's got the portal like sort of behind his lines where his units can go into them, and then that's where they come out, would be right in front of my Nashers. And then to the right of them are my Goblins. I haven't finished putting them on the tray yet, but I really didn't know where else to put these guys. I ended up putting the Wizard in with the Common Orcs, so they're sort of just over there to maybe get a flank charge if needed, or just to shoot bow shots, but their bow shots really aren't going to mean much this game. Pre-game thoughts, I'll go back to maybe a nicer picture here. Pre-game thoughts is I figured I have an advantage on the objective, so I'm going to take advantage of that. And I'm going to try to use my shooting advantage as much as I can, but I know he's going to rush me. Especially since he dropped to go for first. So he's going to be in my face quick. I got to use my chaff. and my shooting ability as much as possible before I engage. However, I'm pretty confident I outnumber him with bodies, so I should be able to outlast him. So we'll see how it goes. So this is him moving up very aggressively. Pretty much everyone moves up. He keeps the 2 units of warriors back, though. And then he makes a surprising move. So this is a unit of 4. He puts he puts them through the whatever it's called, not the vortex, the portal. He puts it through the little portal stone there. They come through, but they're sitting right in front of my Gnasher herd, which I thought was a poor choice on his part. Now, to give him benefit of the doubt, he did have a plan here. Basically, his plan was he was going to cast through. He had a Thaumaturgy spell. He had the one snipe spell from Thaumaturgy. He was going to cast that first on my wizard to try to draw dice, which obviously is going to draw dice for me. I can't afford to lose my wizard. And then he was going to throw Break the Spirit on the Gnashers to deter me from charging. Unfortunately, in his magic phase, he fails to cast the Break the Spirit. I stop the snipe spell, and he rolls 3 dice to get Break the Spirit off, and he just rolls low. So his plan didn't work, and now they're kind of just hanging out there. And then my turn. So, and one thing I forgot to mention is you see that other little blue token there behind my spiders. That's where he put his other one during his turn. I really like this map, by the way. I think the city, like cobblestone streets, is pretty cool. But that aside, Orcs and Goblins turn 1. I decide I'm going to double chaff the Knights and the Fallen. I like that the Knights have a front charge into the Spiders. I'm not a big fan that the Fallen will have a flank charge on the Spiders, which will bring them forward. But if they go far enough, my Scrap Wagon might be able to hit them in the flank or something. So I can live with that. And my Crossbow Orcs are just going to sit there and try to shoot whatever they can. And then I'm basically just expending all my chaff this turn. The Spiders chaff up everything in the center. I move everything else to kind of countercharge. The Great Green Isle is going to sit there and just provide synergy. And then the Gnashers, of course, charge into the Chosen Knights. And I figure with magic, I should be able to mop up that unit pretty easily. And in magic, I have a really good magic phase. I get both Smite the Unbeliever on the Chosen Knights, so I lower their resilience. So they're only resilience 3, so I'm winning them on 2s. And I get Bring the Pain, so I'm rerolling to hit, which is brutal. In shooting, I do 2 wounds with my Git launchers onto the Exalted Herald, so that's pretty awesome. That's definitely a good start. And that's about it. Nothing else really happened in shooting. In close combat, surprising outcome. Even with both buffs up, I do a lot less wounds than I thought I do. He just rolled a lot of 4-up armor saves. But I do manage to kill 2 off. He does like 8 wounds to me. I think we end up tying combat, or maybe I lose by 1 and I hold on my steadfast. But yeah, kind of disappointed I didn't kill them this turn. But with a lot less attacks, and I'm still basically getting my max attacks. Next turn I should be able to clean them up. And then pivot and maybe get a charge on my following turn. So, not terrible. So where's the Dark God's turn 2? He kills my Spider Chaff. And the Fallen do not overrun, but the Warriors do. And they get close to my Crossbow Orcs, but not quite. Over here, because, and it was something I totally didn't see, which I should have, with the charges, he was able to get this Knight unit into the flank of my Orcs, which is not the end of the world. I'm going to be steadfast, and then hopefully when I reform, I can kill them on my turn, but still not good just to give them a free flank charge like that. And then the Fallen are going to go clean up the Spiders. The Exalted Herald just moves around. And in Magic, I think he gets off Break the Spirit on the big orc unit, which really bites, obviously. Yeah, that's still like that. Oh, I'm sorry, he gets Spectral Blades off. Yeah, and Break the Spirit on my orcs, so even better, he has rerolls to wound with his knights. So, we go into combat, he kills a bunch of guys, I'm steadfast, I turn to face, and hopefully in my turn I can beat them up a little bit. I think I do like 1 wound to the side. But luckily in the other combat, the Nashers eat the rest of the knights, and they turn to pivot, and now I've got some options. Alright, so I'm going to go back a picture here. So, his Fallen can't flee. They're sitting there in the ruins. I make a double charge where I charge the Trolls and the Nashers into the Fallen. And the reason I do that is, I'll show you in this next picture. And I know it's not pictured here, and I didn't include it, but I originally, when I charged, I did this so that the Nashers could go over as far as possible, and the Trolls clip the Fallen, and then the Trolls would have a clear path on the overrun after the Fallen die to overrun right into the Knights behind them, and then they'll just Troll Vomit them to death. Now, what happened was when I did that, Jeremy was like, I don't think you can do that, I think you have to kind of even up the units, like half has to be here, half has to be there, and I said, no, you just have to maximize the number of combatants, and technically I can get more models in combat with more Nashers in the mix and just having the Trolls clip. So he looked up in the rules, and he agreed. He said, oh, yeah, it doesn't say anything about that. Oh, that really sucks. I would have totally done this differently, blah, blah, blah. So at this point, because I understand where he's coming from, and I hate that when you don't know a rule, or you just screwed the rule up. But so I kind of said to him, I understand, I don't know what you really want me to do, and he's like, I don't know, it's up to you, and I'm like, well, why don't we just dice it out? On a 1 to 3, you can redo your move. On a 4 through 6, you just have to suck it up and stay where it is. So we rolled it off, and I rolled a 1 through 3. So I allowed him to kind of change the positioning of it so to prevent me from getting that overrun, basically. Or it was either that or I had to kind of just even out the units. In hindsight, this was way too nice of me to do that. I mean, it's just one of those situations yeah, it sucks, but you just kind of have to suck it up. And it's a pretty big moment in the game if I get that overrun off. I'm sitting in a really good position, so I probably should have just stuck to my guns here. But that's how we played it, so both units go in there, and there's really actually more Trolls in contact now that the Nashers are kind of just clipping. I move the Idol over just to provide support. The Goblins have no idea what they're going to do. They kind of just go and hug the wall. And I'm thinking if all goes well in the middle between my crossbow orcs and my spear orcs, I should win the objective this round. So looking at the whole board, my scrap wagon rolls big and hits the flank of that warrior unit, which is awesome. And if I roll well enough and I could break his steadfast, I could break that unit. If nothing else, I weaken the unit significantly, and maybe the crossbow orcs can handle the remaining guys. That might be hoping for too much, but we'll see. What are my spiders doing back there? I guess my spiders fled from a charge, and then they rallied back there. That's strange. Anyway, it's relatively inconsequential. I'm not sure how that happened. And this game was a little while ago, so you'll have to forgive me. So anyway, that's how the board looks. In Magic, I get Bring the Pain off on the Knights that are fighting the Orcs. So even though they're hitting on 5s, at least they have rerolls to hit. And then for their wounds, they're wounding on 4s, rerolling 1s because of the Idol. So that's pretty good. I don't think anything really happens in shooting. The shooting's gotten cold now. Scrap Wagon goes in, tears up a bunch of warriors, but they have 5 left. Just enough to stick on Steadfast, and now the Scrap Wagon's going to die because the Fallen are going to go in. But good job, Scrap Wagon. You knocked that unit down to half strength. Over here, you can see a bunch of orcs are dead. The body count just keeps piling up. I killed 2 knights. I think that last knight has like 1 or 2 wounds left, and that's it. So now I'm in a tough situation because I'm going to have to give him my flank, which I do, because then the Exalted Herald's coming in, and I don't want to deal with him in my flank. And then what really sucked for me, as you can see on the top right, is I don't kill all the Fallen. I just roll absolutely abysmally, and 1 Fallen lives. And because they skirmish, or they're light troops or whatever, they're steadfast. I'm sorry, I think that's a forest. They're steadfast in there. So he sticks with 1 guy. Now the trolls fought themselves out of combat, so they get to pivot. But it pins my Nashers there for an extra turn, which I don't like. Now, he is going to have to make a decision because my trolls are in a good spot where if he charges in, I have an easy counter charge because those orcs are still not going to break. There's just too many bodies there. So we'll see what he does. And I do get a counter this turn for the objective. So, warriors start doing some charges on turn... This is only turn 3. Fallen go into the Scrap Wagon. He pops up his Dragon Egg warriors behind my goblins to put a little pressure there. And then he decides to charge his knights into my trolls, which I thought was a bold move, and then puts his herald into the orcs. And then the Vortex Beast just keeps moving up, and his wizard's just flying around. He gets Whispers of the Veil off on my orc unit, which is not great, but is the lesser of other evils. I don't know what that spell is. Sorry. He gets some buff off on them, but those knights are dead anyway. And yeah. So they die. Well, they don't die, actually. So, sorry. Go to troll combat. I vomit. I kill 2 of the knights. And then he breaks. I chase. I can't catch them, unfortunately. But I either overrun or on my next turn I just charge into the flank of the Herald, which is fantastic. And last turn, my champion was sacrificed to the Herald. So now the trolls are going in, and there's 1 pesky knight still attached to the flank of this unit that I can't quite kill, which is annoying. So you can kind of see, sorry for the blurry picture, you can see the 1 knight where he ran off to. So that's what that looks like there. Movement phase. Oh, so the Fallen died in the last turn, so the Nashers are just moving around. The Goblins march away, try to get away from the Warriors. And elsewhere, he killed the Scrap Wagon last turn. I decide to use the Spires to chaff up the Fallen, so they can't get into my Git Launcher. And I keep the Orcs with crossbows where they are. I figure I'll get a round of shooting. And then if he wants to charge in, maybe I can whittle... maybe I could just outgrind those last couple warriors. So going into combat, you can see in the big center there, I make a big mistake. I have nothing and nobody to blame but myself. My gut feeling, and Jeremy and I both talked about it a little bit, my gut feeling was... I knew he's going to challenge. My gut feeling was I'm just going to decline with my general. Because I figured I'm going to have charge, flank, big flank. I'll still have a couple ranks. And I'll have a banner. And he's only going to have a flank for static res. And then whatever wounds he can cause with his herald. Which he can cause a lot of wounds, but I should win this combat. So I thought the smart play would be to decline the challenge, do a bunch of troll vomits. I get like 5 on him. Try to poke a wound or 2 with the spears, and if I don't kill him, at the very least, I'm still winning combat and forcing him to take a stubborn check. And then my general, who's on the corner there, can try to kill off that last knight. What I was worried about was if I lose the combat, I'm not going to be on my general's leadership, and he causes fear, so I'll be a discipline 6, even if I'm steadfast. And the trolls will not be steadfast. So I instead very stupidly think, well, I'll accept the challenge with my general. If he doesn't kill my general, which there's a chance he doesn't, my general should kill the herald, because he only has like 2 or 3 wounds left. Bad decision. I should have gone with my gut on that. Because he kills my general, the orcs fighting to the side failed to kill off that last knight, which is very annoying. And the trolls are left there doing absolutely nothing. And they're not steadfast, so the orcs stick, but the trolls run away. Really, really dumb. Really, really dumb. That should have been the game. Then in his turn, the warriors charge my goblins, they flee. They charge the trolls have to flee. And the warriors are just left there. Over on this side, things are not looking great. His warriors charge into my crossbow orcs. He charges the chaff. The vortex beast makes the longer charge into the war machine. And the knight that had broken from the trolls rallies, so that's annoying. He kills a bunch more orcs. We're still sticking around though. The war machine's dead. I kill off 1 warrior, and then the orcs reform into ranks. Oh, hold on. No. We don't stick. My orcs die horrifically, and they break, and they're run down by his last knight with 1 wound left, and he gets into my artillery, which is awesome. His exalted herald starts coming forward. Wow. That was a monumental mistake. Yep. Anyway. So in my turn, pictures are getting less and less now. The Nashers go into this last knight to clean up those points. Yay! So picked him off. Got a bunch of points there. The Great Green Idol heroically goes into the Exalted Herald, but between the crush attacks and the impact hits isn't able to kill him. The Herald does nothing back. He's stubborn, he sticks around, and that's the end of the game. So yeah, I made a disastrous tactical error in the middle there, which should have won me the game. And before that, I made an error, not really in tactics, but just in probably being way too nice in a tournament game. So this did result in a loss, but not a real big loss because I won the objective. I won the objective by like turn 5. There was no way he'd come back. His army is more of an MSU style, so it's hard for him to win this objective, especially against an army like mine. So that mitigated things a lot. So I got 9 points out of it. He got 11, and he got 1 extra point because he had his dragon egg in my deployment zone, I believe. Oh no, he should have 2 extra points. I might have just remembered this wrong. He might have gotten 13. But in any case, yeah, I still got 9 out of this, so this is not a bad loss, but it is a bad loss when I consider I probably should have won this game. Anyway, it was a lot of fun. A lot of back and forth this game. A lot of carnage, obviously. MVPs, it's always the Exalted Herald. For Warriors of Dark Gods, it always is. And for me, I would say the Nashers, they picked up a lot of points. They killed 2 Knight units. Well, they killed 1, they cleaned up the other one, and they killed some Fallen. I would say the Trolls really should have been MVP. It was my fault that they weren't. They really should have won the game with me by killing the Exalted Herald, because they did a lot of work this game. They took on... I took a charge from Chosen Knights, and then they got into the flank of his general, so I was happy with their performance, just not with my play. As far as what do we learn from this game, as I said in the video, sometimes it's better to go with your gut. I think there were obviously two key moments in this game where I overthought things, or I kept second guessing myself, and I really should have just taken a pause and just said, no, I need to go with how I feel and not get talked out of it. And I think this game illustrates too, even though I made a couple boneheaded moves, I didn't come out of this too badly because I played for the objective, and the objective's that significant. Even though this game looked like disaster for me, I still got 9 points out of it, and that makes a big difference in a 5-game tournament. So anyway, that's it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. Hit like, subscribe, do all the YouTube stuff. I'm looking forward to this weekend going to Mountain Mayhem, hosted by Gene Phelps, Mr. Wargaming from the Balcony. That's going to be a really fun, competitive tournament in Virginia. So I'm going to try and get these next couple battle reports out to you before I go and play and start doing those. So we'll see how that goes. But anyway, we'll go on to round 4 after this. Have a good one.